Well, the Scout now has a functioning transfer case. If you remember, this is a 62 Scout body sitting on a 2003 Blazer, S10 Blazer chassis drivetrain. So the motor, transmission, transfer case, all that is from the 2003 Blazer. This transfer case was out of the Blazer. It had the push button on the dash to transfer from two-wheel drive to 4 high to 4 low. And what I did, I don't know if I can get down here close enough to show anything, but I took the electric motor that operates the transfer case, I took it off, and I took and cut the housing down. Let's see if I can get in here even better. Took and cut the housing down, and I took and made my own attachment. When you take that motor off, there's a oval shaped shaft that sticks out of the side of the transfer case, and I made my own linkage to attach to it and put it back into that housing for the transfer case shifter. I took all the guts out of it. There's a couple of bushings in there. I kept those, and I sandwiched my own piece of steel linkage and put it in there. Then I took and welded an arm off the back of it to give me a little more space to shift. And then I'm sure there's other ways and better ways to do this than what I've cobbled together here, but I'm trying to do this as budget friendly as possible because I don't have a ton of money. So what I did up here, this is a shifter, a four-wheel drive shifter out of a Jeep Cherokee. I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. I got it off of eBay. It was about 70 bucks, I think. I don't like this part of the shifter, so I'm probably going to cut this off, strip this rubber off of there, and then I'll end up putting my own, extending this shaft up a little bit, the shifter up a little bit, and putting my own knob on there. But for functionality purposes, to test and see proof of concept, it actually does. Now it's in 4 high, and now it's in 4 low. The transfer case, even though it's an automatic shift with a motor, there are detents. In other words, you can feel in the shifter when it actually locks into either 4 low or 4 high. So it does everything it needs to do. So the only thing I will have to do still is on the front axle. I will have to, there's supposed to be a vacuum pod, which I still have, the vacuum pod's still there. But what happens is when you push the button on the dash to put it in 4 high or 4 low, there's a vacuum sent to the front axle actuator. So there's a vacuum pod actuator that pulls the front axle to engage the front axle. So there's a cable that comes from that vacuum pod that goes down to the front axle to lock it into place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount that pod, that vacuum pod, to the side of the firewall, and I will get they've got steel cables, push and pull steel cables. You can pull it and twist it to lock it into place. So I'm going to do that. I'll probably, depending on how flexible that cable is and how it needs to be ran, my thoughts are to drill a hole and stick it on that firewall somewhere under the dash. So what you'll do is you'll pull your lever back into 4 high or 4 low, depending on what you need. And then when you pull that into 4 high, you will grab a hold of the knob on the firewall there, pull it out as far as it'll go, to engage the front axle, and then you twist it into place to lock it into place. And then when you're done with four-wheel drive, you can untwist that handle and push the cable back in, and that will release your front axle lock. So that is the plan of attack on the front end. I'm going to kind of finalize some things up here, and I will get my hump marked out because I'll have to cut a hole in my hump for the new shifter. And then what I will do is, because the old transfer case shifter was over here, they have the 2-stick transfer cases in the old original Scouts. I will cut a piece of sheet metal and screw it into place over the hole where the original shifter was. And I'll get a couple of, I have to get a shifter boot for the transmission itself, and I'll get a boot for the transfer case shifter. And like I said, I don't care for that little angled piece on the transfer case shifter, so I'm going to probably cut that off, and I'll put my own handle and stuff on there for that. But I have a functioning transfer case now, so the old girl's getting closer and closer to being ready. I have ordered the weather stripping around the doors. It's all just hard as a rock and brittle. I have ordered a test piece to see if it'll work. It was like $10 for a 15-foot roll, which will do not quite all the doors, but it'll get close. So I'm going to see how that does. Like I said, you can order from them Scout parts places. You can order that kind of stuff. But they're proud of it. So like I said, I'm on a budget. Basically no budget. I'm spending money I really don't have. But I'm going to get this done and get things lined out. I've actually been driving it a little bit around up and down the highway here, just kind of checking things out, and it's been doing great. So I will let you know more when I get some more stuff done. Thanks.